Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B-Man, and I am live and on the move. Shout out to my brother, Junior the Truth. This is Stormy B-Man Live. A little message to the listeners, something I wanted to talk about on my little commute to the grind this morning. The world is in bad shape, brothers and sisters. The world is in bad shape. If you understand what I'm saying, if you can hear me and what I'm saying, know that you're not alone if you feel like something is wrong. Like we're off track. We are missing something. Oh, there he is right there, my brother Junior the Truth in the building. What's happening, Junior? Good to see you, man. I know you're an early riser because you are a shaker and mover. Appreciate you coming in there. Yeah. Adrian Vitt, good morning to you. Greetings. Yeah, I just wanted to get this small chit chat off my chest this morning. Columbia, salute to you. Good morning. I was listening to some content as I prepared for my day. I started my day off first giving thanks to the Lord and Savior, because if you can't begin the day with He who begins your day, you're already operating at far, far less than the optimum. You may not be operating at all. Yeah! But anyway, had a chance to listen to some things while I was preparing. I listened to a little bit of boxing talk, and I listened to a lot of, there was, when you click on something to view, oftentimes you'll get follow-up, like-minded content, unless you select you don't want to see it or whatever, And sometimes they'll still send it to you anyway. Yeah, that's what they do. But anyway, there was a series of videos. I'm sure that some of you may have heard of the brother Anton Daniels. He's got a channel out there, and he does reaction and reviews of various TikToks and I guess whatever comes through the pipeline where he can, use it to make a subject of commentary on. And I'm not going against him at all. This is not what this is about. What this is about is I'm noticing, as you heard me say, that the world is, off. Everything is off. There were a series of videos where these women were talking about they're tired of working. They don't want to do this. Some were saying that a 9 to 5 is for the birds. Others were speaking that they don't have to work because they'll pimp their guy, and every time he gets paid, they get paid, so forth, so on, blah, 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 blah. Well, the only thing about that is the movement was pushed forward, the agenda for women's rights and things of that nature, but I want to take it to something of which all of that kind of assisted in where we are today. The feminist agenda and that whole battle for women's rights and whatnot, that was not to elevate women. It was not to elevate women, the status of women or whatever, because you could look across the board and see that women are still treated a certain kind of way, and they don't receive the acknowledgement from the leaders in society as equal leveled people. They're not seen as, those who are out front, the leaders and things of that nature. But listen, I am not on here to bash women. That's not what this is about. I want to try to point something out. When our governments had the men bringing home the bread, so to speak, and taking care of their families, women typically in married circumstances took care of home and took care, if they decided to raise a family, took care of children. There were many women who didn't have children, whether it was by choice or it was something biological, but they still maintained something, and there was a position where they assumed. Our government leaders realized something. Why have someone at home and someone who's out in the field working, taking it to task every day? We're taxing his income. We're giving him the bills and whatnot. But per household, that's a small percentage. But if we get the other person inhabiting the home to get out and work as well, now we're taxing that household 100%. And eventually, where there are children that they raise or whatever, we can create a situation where the children are no longer looked after by the parents. Oh yeah. You see, there's something called think tanks. You guys who are old enough, my brother Junior is out there, he's old enough to know what that means, a think tank. Columbia, you're pretty sharp. You probably know what a think tank is. Eric Jordan, salute to you, my brother. A think tank is a system or an organized entity which will come together by committee and decide fate, path, circumstances of an overall environment or entity that they control to their benefit, not to the entity's benefit. When you give up being able to raise your children, who raises your children? Nannies? Daycare centers? Schools? Programs? All of this external influence on your household because of one simple decision made. Now, you may not see it as intricately specific as that. However, when you look further, not from the inception or the initial stages, but look at through the times. When you lose control over your household and give up guidance, give up structure, give up virtue, value, and it's coming from external source. Now, what does the inhabitant of your household have to contribute to the world? If mom and dad's proper, appropriate influence isn't there and someone has stepped in, there's that word, step, like stepfather, stepmother, step influencer, step into your life to change the direction of your path. After a few generations of this, what happens is entitlement comes into play. Oh yeah, entitlement. Because the children, you weren't there to tell them what to do, how to do, why to do, where to go. You were absent. So a sub had to fill in, A substitute, a step, Yeah. And it is what it is now. So getting back to these ladies on the Anton Daniels videos, they're saying that they no longer want to work. It's so hard. It's trying emotionally their role. Because, women have always had the benefit of being cared for in society, whether it was by male dominance or love from a nesting circumstance, or even where there was a sense of it was duty. But going into the workplace, wanting equality, wanting something that suits them. Remember, men operate off of thinking objectively and acting or enacting from a place of there's a quality that is there by nature, but women operate off of emotions and feelings and things of that nature. So when you get to that point and you're catering to that, you can't take the values of how you've been catered to and apply that to what your circumstance is and have that work for you or be effective. Because remember, the adage had always been take care of the women and children, right? They didn't say take care of the men, the women, and children. They say take care of the women and children. So women were thought to be as children, not the leaders, not the trailblazers and path makers and those who took it to the max. Women and children. So if the women didn't want children, but they want equal status, but their place and position in society have been protected as children, you throw things off. You throw the entire natural nature order of things, you throw it off. Who's nurturing the babies? A child's lesson comes from mom, the natural nurturer. If the mom's mind, heart, and conviction is off, what type of influence is that going to have on their children? How productive for society may children be? Now, do you understand when I speak on the step-in situation, the substitute situation? You see, when you follow order under God, that doesn't mean everything is going to be just fine, A-OK, no problems. What it does mean is you're following the appropriate standard that was set for you, and within there, and obedience, there could be blessing for prosperity. When you go against the natural order of things, you have chaos, disruption, and sometimes going against the order, there's not immediate consequence. But the fact that you do, they're like ripples. When you drop a pebble into a pond, the ripples begin in a tight circle, but they expand and expand and expand until those ripples cross the entire pond. Yeah, a natural, divine sense of order. These things are true. So these women who are crying out, do you know what they're really crying out for? They're crying out for direction, correction, instruction. But you don't obtain that going against God, going against the natural order of things. The movements that you've made, the decisions, have so affected society that even our men now are confused. They don't know whether or not they want to be men, they want to be women, they want to be childlike, or they don't want to be at all. There was once a saying that, the woman is the backbone of the family. Without having a spine, the body can't sustain itself. It can't uphold. The spine has many, many nerves that course through, which we relate to as the central nervous system. All controlled by something we call the brain. What should occupy the brain? God's purpose. That's what should occupy the brain. And as long as we're disobedient to that, we're going to see difficulty beyond what he wants for us. The disobedience will lead to us receiving a universal spanking of sorts. And understand, I'm not putting this all on women. I'm not, because men have contributed heavily to the circumstances and plight. But what we're seeing now, because everything is off kilter and everything, is a residual fallout from the initial disobedience. The thing to do now is to correct, to change and turn away from this path of destruction of which we find ourselves. It's not an easy thing to do. However, it can begin in your own household with how you reinvigorate and reestablish your relationship with the Creator. You remember that song, Self-Destruction? You're headed for self-destruction. That was something that was a hit. And while you tapped your toes to the beat and bumped your head, bobbed your head to it, you never thought about the fact that this is an experience that you're having because of the path that you're on. Sometimes it's very difficult to tell the truth because the truth hurts. It cuts like a knife. It's not meant to cut, but what it's meant to do is penetrate, to assist you in staying on top, staying or holding or toting the line. It's just like building muscle in the gym. When you hit the weights, no pain, no gain, right? That's what that is. See, we could find time to laugh and joke and play and fool around and all of that stuff, but we don't invest enough to making sure that we're on solid ground. Not enough. I'm sorry that you had to go through that, EJ. There's a lot of circumstances that many of us have had. And then we also have people who live under a delusional state of placing blame, because when you begin to acknowledge where your shortcomings are, where you may have messed up, where you have contributed to inadequacy, failure, that's the beginning of being able to turn things around. And when you're able to turn things around, there's that correction that I spoke of, huh? And it can't be done overnight in our time. It could be done in our Creator's time, because as so He speaks, it is. And so if this is what you really want, if this is what you're calling for, if this is what your heart is, remember, when you take your plight to He give you rest, huh? Blessing, deliverance. I don't know. Maybe you guys who follow me have realized that there's been a shift with STORMYBMAN, my conversation, presentation. That's not by accident. It's due to being made aware of what's going on. That's just like this conversation this morning. It may come across to some people, oh, he's trying to preach or this or that. No, it's a message that is being administered because we all need blessing and prayer and grace. I've been able to receive a tremendous amount of grace and blessing. I want to pay it forward because I don't want to be separated from the Creator. Why would one wait until they've fallen into a pit to scream for help when you understand that you're moving on shaky ground to begin with, and you can ask for assistance to straighten your path, to straighten the road ahead, to smooth it? There are so many people who are lost simply because they don't have that relationship. They are so separated from God that they're existing in darkness. He's your candle. The lamp needs to be illuminated for you to see through the darkness, for you to understand. So, not to get off of what I was talking about, the crash out that some are exhibiting because of their frustrations. Oh, it's so hard. Oh, I can't deal with this, and I don't want to do that. After the first sin in the Garden of Eden, there was a curse and promise placed upon man and woman. Does anyone recall what those were? And before they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden? You see, because the disobedience began in that instance. And with each subsequent generation, circumstances got worse and worse and worse. To the degree that you look around and you recognize that you don't even know what perseverance is anymore. You don't even know what elevation is anymore. Some don't even recognize what blessing is anymore, because that sense of entitlement blots out the acknowledgement for blessing, grace, ego, arrogance. Remember the virtues and values that were subbed by the step or the substitute entity to your children to a degree that when you become elderly, your children don't even want to care for you. You're a burden to them. Though you changed their diaper and made certain that they had something to eat, you clothed them, provided shelter, warmth. Now in your twilight years, they're looking at you and they're saying, oh, I ain't got time. Wow. You could say, hey, call me. They're too busy. A lot of what we deal with people is self-actuated. Self-actuated. And there are many people who don't understand how that works, which is why we have mirrors. There was a time in our society that mirrors were referred to as vanities. Does anybody know, if you look at the Webster's dictionary meaning for vanity? Can someone look that up? Copy and paste it and post it in the chat here, because I want you to see something in my statement. What's a vanity? What is vanity? EJ, my brother, you out there, you can do that for me, please. Vanity. Copy and paste. Put it in the chat. Rebecca Barth, good morning to you. Yeah. Vanity means excessive pride in or admiration of one's own appearance, abilities, or achievements. Yeah, a mirror. A mirror was once referred to as a vanity. Now, what do you do when you gaze upon yourself in reflection of a mirror? And sometimes it doesn't even have to be a mirror. You can see yourself, your image in glass, because it has, some glass has reflective qualities, right? But think about that and that meaning there. Doesn't that sound awfully bad for an individual to have as an inert quality, who they are as a person? Yeah. Donnell Miller, salute to you. He says, vanity, definition and meaning, inflated pride in oneself or one's appearance, something that is vain, empty, or valueless, the quality or fact of being vain. Listen, thank you for that, brothers. I appreciate that. So if you've got all that going on, you have no time for accountability. You have no time for the acknowledgement of a higher authority. You can get in your own way. And see, that's something, again, accountability, we don't see a lot of in our society today. So when they're crying out, oh, this is so hard. Why do I have to do this? But see, you made decisions that found you where you happen to be. But you don't have to remain that way. You can fall on your knees and ask the Lord to help you, pull you closer. The Holy Spirit, God's intervention, so that you don't be separated from Him. We're existing in a world and society where it's growing dimmer and dimmer as far as the light in the world, the lamp. You should want to be able to see your way through the darkness. Because when it's dark, you trip, you stumble, you fall, you bump into things, you stub your toe, knock things over, break things in the dark. Other actions will include you do ungodly things in the dark. Things that you think no one sees. Sin. Oh yeah, me too. I've done it, which is why I'm able to tell you about how this is going and how we need to correct. Because accountability is at the precipice. You are not going to make it without a relationship with our Creator. You're not. Oh, you may live according to how man sees life. But understand who has authority over your soul. Yeah. Understand. Hancock in the building. What's good with you? He says, I'm on the move, but you talking this morning. Appreciate you, Hancock. Man, I'm coming to work this morning and they done tore the streets up just since yesterday. What the world? There's 2 seasons in Chicago, you guys. Winter and construction. It has always been this way. Winter and construction. Seriously. Goodness gracious. I mean, they done ripped the whole street up. Pavement and everything. Got this homeless guy. He's trying to be right here in front of the door where I gotta go in. Boy, unfortunate. God bless. he was camped out, literally in front of the path. Right directly in front of the path. Oh boy. Whew. Anyway, I'm sorry for that little bit of a distraction. I just wanted to speak on this. There are, and they don't know. They don't have the answers. However, a man of God, a man of righteousness, a man uprighteous can assist in our society being pulled back together. It won't happen overnight. And all men aren't capable of being that leader in that sense, because some of them need deliverance as well. But you need to look at your fruit that the tree is bringing forth. Is it valuable? Is it something that could be nourishing? Or is it bad? I'll leave you guys with this. I posted a message to my page a few days ago. And I was hoping that people could see that and understand where I was coming from. All you got to do is go to my community page and you'll see a couple of messages that I posted there. But I'm trying in my own way to get people to wake up. And I will continue to do that until I no longer have breath in my body. Because I don't just want this for me. I want it for you all as well. And that is the most sincere thing that I could say. This is STORMYBMAN. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. Have a blessed day, everyone. And until the next time, peace unto you. And I hope that you take this message in good faith.